And there's more breaking news coming in. Sounds of explosions have been heard in Bahrain, and this is as per a correspondent of Al Arabia. Sirens have been sounded in Bahrain. There are sounds of explosions as well. So yes, it is not just restricted to Iran. Middle East has spiraled into conflict once again, and this will be a long one. Our analysts continue to stay with us. Patikrit, for India, how should India be monitoring the developments as they unfold in the Middle East?
I think if the recent visit of Prime Minister Modi in Israel was a very, very important thing to take note of, because Israel is a very critical partner of India, and therefore I think for India, the regional stability of the Middle East is very important. It has a lot to do with the security of the sea routes through which our supply of primarily oil comes in. There is a large Indian population which resides in the Middle East. Any kind of major flare-up does create problem. Then the issue is about the overall potential of this conflict taking a regional conflict turn and other major players joining in. So I think these issues are very critical, and I think for India, they would prefer that even if there is this flare-off, which was perhaps inevitable, I think the preference would be that whatever happens, it should end quickly. But I don't think that it's going to end so quickly. I think India is one of the very few countries which does have good relation with Israel, as well as a working relationship with Iran. But the core problem in this case, it is a reality that the obsession that the regime in Iran has with destroying Israel, that is at the core of the problem. Had that not been the case, mutual coexistence would have still not been impossible. So I think even in the recent past, they have given indications that they have no intention to destroy Israel. If you look at the present, the statement that Prime Minister Modi made in the Israeli parliament with the Knesset, it is very clear that on issues of non-state actors, on issues of terrorism, on issues of regimes which support terrorism, India has a no-compromise approach. So that statement in the parliament of Israel is an indication that when it comes to terrorism, whether it happens in Israel or whether it happens in India, in Pahalgam or elsewhere, India will not distinguish between them, and it would deal with them or look at them in the same framework. And therefore, I think on that issue, there is no disagreement, but I would still believe that Indian government wants the situation, it comes down to a point of stability before it flares up to a point of no return.
Absolutely. Back to you. And there are 9 million Indians in the Gulf. Shinjoy, we are also analyzing how India is looking at these developments. Patikrit has pointed and has spoken about the message that the Prime Minister gave in the Israeli parliament, and also he made a clear distinction that when it comes to terrorism, our position is absolutely clear. There is zero tolerance, and also humanity. Humanity should not pay the price, should not be the victim of conflict. That is what the Prime Minister said.
Yes, as you rightly said, there are 9 million Indians in the Gulf, men, women, children. Now, if this conflict expands, then clearly there is a risk involved. So all these people, all of them Indian citizens, have been working there. There are many in Qatar, many in Saudi Arabia, many more in the UAE, and also particularly Dubai, Bahrain also. So Indians naturally will be at risk. India does not want its citizens to be caught in the middle. Besides this, there is an economic impact. Let's not forget that India imports roughly 80% of its crude. Now that crude oil imports from Russia have come down dramatically, there is dependence on crude from this region. Yes, now that Mark Carney is here, there will be an agreement to buy crude oil and natural gas from Canada. There is also imports from America and so on. But the Gulf is one place where a lot of crude is imported. If there is a problem with imports, if there is a problem with shipping and all that, then naturally it will affect India. But apart from that, prices of crude will definitely go up as of now. So 9 million Indians is a lot of people.
Former Ambassador Gunter, we also have information coming in about what's happening in Bahrain, especially in the area that houses the U.S. Navy base. There are witnesses who have confirmed that they've seen smoke from Bahrain's Jufair area, which houses the U.S. Navy base. Yes, the Americans say that they will crush any kind of threat that comes from Iran and its proxies. But here we're looking at wider implications as well.
I know President Trump, he's my friend. He will absolutely crush them. Let there be no misunderstanding. Again, we have air superiority, which cannot be overlooked. We devastated them in the first conflict. If they put American troops at risk, there will be a huge price to pay for the Iranian leadership. President Trump has made it very clear. He views the Iranian leadership as international terrorists, state sponsors of terrorism. He's given them every single opportunity to realign with the international community. They haven't. So, if I was them, I would continue playing sofa surfing as they go from location to location. But I promise you, Mossad and America knows exactly where they are. And when the time is right, they will eliminate them and try to free the Iranian people. As far as him hitting American bases in other countries, I thought your guest said it really well. The Iranian regimes are backs against the wall. It's either do or die for them. And I believe no matter what they will do, they themselves will either be eliminated from the regime or they will be eliminated from this planet. We have a huge technological advantage. We have a huge air superiority. And I think, we all know from the famous book, The Art of War, that victorious warriors win, then they go to war. Losing warriors go to war with the hope of winning. And I promise you, the United States and Israel take the victorious warriors, win, and then go to war by their due diligence and preparation that America has done and the Israelis have done for, literally decades as we enter this conflict. We're not looking, I believe that wars are won before the wars are started. Right. And that's what I believe is going to happen here.
Yes, and Burzine, before I let you go and before I thank all our guests, in the latest we have footage of U.S. Navy Tomahawk cruise missiles flying over the Iranian capital of Tehran. But we also have information that Iran's proxy has joined in. We are talking about what the Houthis are doing. So the Houthi movement has announced the closure of Bab el-Mandeb Strait in the Red Sea and has warned that they will target U.S. and Israeli ships. Burzine, how do you react to this development?
And if that happens, the Houthis are going to come in for a massive bruising yet again. And this time they will be eliminated and should be indeed. And that should be a clarion call to Saudi Arabia to realize that looking upon a battered, beleaguered Iran wounded in a corner and that they can live with one is not good enough. Bahrain has been attacked as we speak. Mir Salman and Jufair is in eastern Manama by the port area where I lived for 22 years, so I should know. If this escalates into further attacks on the island towards central Manama and elsewhere, this which goes to show that the Iranians are all out and desperate. And as I said, they will take a scattergun approach, and there are attacks already underway towards Qatar's Al Udeid base too.
Yes.
And obviously, Iran is interested in stirring up trouble in Bahrain, which is a predominantly Shia society. And it's the time of Ramadan, as you can well imagine. But it's good to realize, and I might point out that Iran has been responsible for fomenting insurrectionist coups back in Bahrain, even in December 1981. So Iran targeting Bahrain and bringing in other GCC members by this, as I've iterated, a scattergun approach to distract and to bring all into the fight, because that's the only way it can do to minimize its own losses, is plainly evident to all. We have factored that in. Israel and the US have definitely factored that in. And the point is, one still needs to plow down and steam ahead and do what it has to do. And President Trump is correct to say that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the Iranians. And at the same time, he was reasonable enough to mention to the past Iran, the Revolutionary Guards, that you would be afforded immunity if you were to, lay down arms as such and not continue with the regime. Because so far as I've iterated, we've not seen any cracks in the regime, either in the professional tri-services, the Iranian Armed Forces, or the Revolutionary Guards, particularly the latter, because they have, like everything to lose with this regime unraveling, given that they control 60% of the economy, officially speaking, and a stranglehold on Iran's development over the last 4 decades. They would not want to see anything happen that would impact them adversely. After all, they are security oligarchs and millionaires in their own respect who have benefited through corruption and graft. And it is they who need to go in order for Iran to turn the page.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on this broadcast. Shanjoy Chaudhary, consulting editor, former U.S. Ambassador, Ambassador Gunter, Fatikrit Pen, and also Burzeen Waqmar. Thank you so much for putting all of this into perspective. But the breaking news continues here on Times Now. In the latest, yes, the conflict has spiraled. It has gone beyond Iran versus Israel. We're hearing reports of a strike in Bahrain as well, but we're going to wait for a confirmation. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Taking a short break. We'll be back with more news and updates.